Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Tasha A.F. Lemley, and this is Nashville. Welcome back to In My Place. This season, we're walking through the steps from homelessness to housing and beyond, with people who have done it. This series was created thanks in part to support from the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. In the last 7 episodes, we've talked about everything from connecting with services for the very first time to finally getting that key and celebrating. So now what? Today, we're learning about the new reality that sets in when someone moves indoors. We're going to hear what goes well and what doesn't. Here with us are Ashley Reed and Kelly Palmer. And they've let us follow along with their journey to housing. You've heard them in some previous episodes. We also welcome back Nathan Scarlett, an outreach specialist with People Loving Nashville. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we first met you, Ashley and Kelly, last winter in your campsite when Nathan introduced you to our producer, Judy. And then this spring, she got to sit down with you in your new apartment near downtown. And we talked about the stress you guys were feeling moving in. So you've been in housing now for around, so you're coming up on 6 months. How's it going?
It's still stressful.
It's still stressful.
He doesn't let me know all the stress, so I just enjoy it.
So you don't feel as much stress, Ashley?
No, he worries about all the bills getting paid, and he keeps up with all that.
Okay. Is that mostly what you're feeling, Kelly? Like, is the stress of the bills or?
Yes.
Okay. What's going well in the new place?
There's definitely some place to cook, and I can keep her warm.
Yeah.
And not roast her to death either in the summer.
You've also had some struggle connecting to case management. Ashley, can you tell me what happened there?
It's more like when they tell you they're going to do something, and they string you along till it's too late for them to actually do anything. I've had a really hard time finding case management that even wants to put up with having me as a client, and it isn't because I'm hard to work with, but it's because this is how I feel. It's because of my disability, and I'm on my own, and they just want me probably to just go back to family.
What can you tell us about your disability?
It's called arthrogryposis. It's a disorder of the muscles, joints, and nerves. I got it through the chickenpox virus. My mom got the shingles while she was pregnant with me during the developmental stages of the muscles, joints, and nerves.
What are the challenges that manifest through that?
See, that's the thing. Every individual that's born with arthrogryposis has a different degree. And I have a worse degree, but then it isn't at the same time. Like, I can't use my arms, but I find ways to use my arms and hands, and I use my feet a lot as my hands at home. Obviously, I do it at home. I have to go down and eat with my mouth, so like if I'm going out to eat or something, I'll have someone, like a family member or Kelly, help me eat because I don't like doing that out in public.
Nathan, now you've been helping with their housing process, and typically as an outreach worker, your relationship might end once someone gets housing, but in this case, you're sticking through. How have you been able to continue to help?
Yeah, whenever I met with them in the end of January and got them moved in the 1st of April, I told them from the beginning that once you do get into housing, that my assistance, will have to be limited because I have to continue helping people on the streets or in the emergency shelter. And they totally understood that. But I'm not going to just ghost you. I'm going to still be there.
And Kelly mentioned having a job transition or an income difficulties. Is there a cushion somewhere to help with rent assistance when people might lose their job when they're in housing?
Yeah, there's always a Metro Action Commission on Murfreesboro Pike. There's NeedLink Nashville online. That one's different. They only take applications Monday and Tuesday, 9 to 1. And once all the applications has been fulfilled, then they don't take any more. And so there's been times when I've applied for financial assistance on a Tuesday at 9, and it's already full.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't do that. And then there's Rooftop Nashville. And then the other nonprofits, if they're working with a specific nonprofit, they can have assistance to help financially as well.
So it sounds like there are some good resources in town, but it's pretty limited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Ashley mentioned that case management can be difficult because of their specific needs.
Mm-hmm.
You said it has been hard to plug them into wraparound services. Do you see this with other clients, that they struggle attracting or retaining a case manager?
Yeah, the burnout is real for outreach workers and care managers. It's probably 1 to 2 years that someone's in this field, and sometimes it can take that long just to get into housing. And so it's a difficult thing to navigate for sure.
What are some of the things that are causing that burnout?
Poor leadership from upper management, not enough pay. I mean, we could all use a little more money. And a lot of people are transient. They move from one organization to another, and then they have a different job title or different job responsibilities. So all of those are in play.
When you said transient, are you talking about the clients moving from place to place, or the actual case managers moving from organization to both?
Could be both.
Okay.
Because with one specific organization, they'll have someone that's covering this part of town, north side.
Oh, yeah.
And when that person, the client or the in-house individual moves from the north side to the south side, then that person, the service provider, may not continue following up with them anymore because they're not in the same location.
Right. Oh, man. And Kelly, how have you been able to help with Ashley's needs?
She's pretty much self-sufficient at home.
Yeah.
Like she said, when we go out, I do feed her. But at home, I go out and do odd jobs and stuff and leave her there.
Yeah.
She's not as difficult as people think to take care of.
Yeah.
She's actually quite easy.
Just make sure I can reach the food.
Yeah.
And I have on the right type of clothing, and I can do most of everything on my own. I can even leave my apartment and come back in because I have a special key.
Mm. How's the special key work?
It's the key, but it's attached to like scissor handles.
Okay.
And
okay.
it makes it easier for me to be able to turn the key.
To be able to grip it and reach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ashley, have you found living indoors to be harder or easier than living outdoors?
Oh, trust me, living inside is so much easier for me. I mean, I can make simple everyday objects into something that can help me with my disability. Like doorknobs. I can put my own shirts on with doorknobs.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And going to the bathroom, I can do it all by myself because I have indoor plumbing. I mean, just living inside is so much easier for me.
You've been wanting to advocate for other people with physical disabilities.
Yes. It's about rehabs.
Mm.
Anywhere in the U.S., if you are considered 24-hour care need, you are not welcome to be in an inpatient rehab because they say that you have to do your ADLs, which is adult daily living. Mm. Well, adult daily living for me is literally I have to have help. I cannot help that I was born physically disabled, and I cannot help that I ended up becoming a drug addict. Mm-hmm. And becoming a drug addict, it's a lot of mental stuff going on with you, too. It's not just something you wake up and go, oh, I decided to do drugs today. That ain't how it happens. And when I wanted to get help, I wasn't allowed to have the help.
Because of the ADLs?
Yes. And a social worker through Hope for Justice helped me out a lot. And they called all these other rehabilitation centers, and they kept telling them they cannot take me. Mm-hmm. And I had one caseworker that was supposed to be helping me with housing. This was before Nathan told me I had to go to rehab before I could get into housing. But how can I get into housing if I can't go to rehab because I'm disabled? I kept getting told no every way around. So I had met Kelly when I first moved to Nashville, and then ran into him like a year and a half later, and I asked him if he would help me get off drugs because he was also homeless, and he said he would be willing to take his time out of the day to be with me while I went through detox, because, I mean, we're talking about detoxing from meth, fentanyl, dabbling with a little bit of heroin. I mean, I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
I kind of left out the fentanyl and heroin part. He thought he was just helping me with the meth. But, I mean, because I was so afraid of him turning me down when he found out it was going to be much more difficult, he stood by me the whole time. The only person who could help me was another homeless person that I had only known for a year. That is very wrong. And I had to do it in a tent to beat it all. For me to even get to that point where I wanted that kind of help, I was ready to end my life because I didn't see no other way out.
So how did he help you get off the drugs?
He stayed with me. I started winging myself off, and then I finally had a issue with running a high fever. They call it cotton fever.
Okay.
And we went to the ER. I did it to please him. He said, humor me and please go. And they said that I was going to have to wing for another year. And the next day I was like, forget this. I'm done. If I at least I'm going to die coming off the drugs instead of die because I OD'd. So I threw the stuff away and I said, I'm done.
How long did your detox take?
About a month.
Ooh.
Because that was winging, and then the ER trip, and a doctor saying I was going to have to keep winging for a year. I don't know. It just something in my brain snapped and said, you can do this. You're going to live through it.
So a doctor wanted you to wean for a year, but you were like, I can't do this for a year. So I'm gonna do it as fast as I can.
Yeah.
So you did it in about a month. What time of year were you weaning?
August.
So it's hot, blazes.
A year ago, August.
Yeah.
September 8th, I celebrated my whole 1 year of sobriety.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
I'm working on year 2 now.
Nathan, what's your philosophy on housing and addiction? I know that some people, like Ashley's been explaining cart and horse. It's like you must be sober before you get into housing, or a lot of people think you must get housing before you can get sober. Where do you fall?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Everyone that's in housing, are they sober? They have a place to hide it.
Right.
The people who are unhoused, they don't. And so we see it more prevalent. But I always believe in housing first.
Yeah.
And then once you get into housing, then you become more stable because you have a safe environment to keep the bad people out. And you can lock a door, you can get out of the elements, and then you can proceed to getting help with your A&D issues, with your mental health, with your physical health. You have the right mindset and the framework to be able to go handle those issues that's going on.
You've been in an apartment for about half a year now. And do you still feel like you guys are looked at or treated as homeless? Or do you feel like people have started seeing you differently?
A lot of how people look at the homeless is due to how they act and how they dress themselves. Ashley and me would go downtown when we were still homeless, and nobody down there knew it.
Okay.
Because if you're not dressed like you just crawled out of a dumpster, nobody knows. Or if you're not down there flying signs.
Yeah.
And that's what's getting a lot of them in trouble.
Yeah.
Is the way they present themselves. There's a lot of homeless that get up every day and go to work.
Yeah.
And people don't even know it.
Right. The stress you're feeling over being in housing, Kelly, I understand that you're holding on to your campsite just in case.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that before we go to break.
We were in a tent last fall.
Yeah.
I could not have her in a tent in the winter.
Right.
So I put up a small structure, and I used recycled materials, old pallets, used plywood to put it up.
He insulated it with mattress toppers.
Wow. So you're hanging on to that place just in case.
Get this man a job.
Yeah.
You can do incredible work. I've seen the sofas that he put together, and then I would buy it. And let me say, this is a unique situation that they're in that I typically don't come across from. Ashley has disability, and he was working when I met them. And so they actually had enough money they didn't need a housing subsidy. He was working nearly full-time hours, and they were living outside. And that's incredible that they were able to do that. Unfortunately, after they got into housing, he lost his job. And so it's usually the other way around where people gain employment. And so the unfortunate events that he lost it. And so then we're just trying to get back to where he can have more stable income.
Would you prefer to stay where you are now than go back to a campsite?
Yes. But if it comes down to it, we still have the heaters and everything from the campsite that can go back in there and keep her warm. And if I have to, I will go to Walmart and get an air conditioner and put the salt to the side of the wall and give her air conditioning.
Ashley, Kelly, thank you for being here. And Nathan's going to stick with us through the break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about how providers handle the challenges of housing. So stay tuned.
So how do you wait for heaven? And who has that much time? And how do you keep your feet on the ground when you know you were born? You were born to fly.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Tasha A.F. Lemley, and this is Nashville. Before the break, we spoke with Ashley Reed and Kelly Palmer about everything they're experiencing since they moved into housing. Rachel Hester, Executive Director of Room in the Inn, is here joining Nathan Scarlett, Outreach Specialist with People Loving Nashville. So Rachel, Room in the Inn has had permanent supportive housing at its downtown campus for about 15 years. Is that right?
We built them in 2010 and we expanded again last year.
Can you, in like one sentence, remind us all what permanent supportive housing is?
Permanent supportive housing is permanent housing that they have a lease, but we wrap all the services around them. So we have an occupational therapist, we have a case manager, we have our facilities team goes in once a month to make sure there's not facility issues that may have been underreported.
What are some of the challenges of what you guys are doing?
Well, it was the first time that we really had ever charged money for anything. So that was a different liability. I could ask people to leave before, and I can't anymore. We have to learn to work it out. And so because they have rights as a tenant.
There's a different level of commitment.
It is a different level of commitment. And our housing is a lot like living above your grandmother's garage. I know your business. And so that is a complicated relationship to have sometimes because they may not want me knowing everything about them.
Yeah.
It is hard for people to change their mindset that they're in housing when you're living above a shelter. And so,
So someone may have been staying in your shelter or experiencing your shelter program for a number of years, and then all of a sudden they move upstairs.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's been really difficult. And we actually took one of their units out of the affordable housing and kind of made it more like a show apartment.
Okay.
Which then we could also let people stay in if we were painting their apartments and things of that nature, because we had to show them first what it would be like. Nobody was going to sign up for it because they didn't want to live at Room in the Inn in a shelter. They wanted to live in permanent housing.
And they had to see that it's an actual apartment.
Exactly.
You've got 40?
We have 48.
What happens when you see people move in? It's for a lot of people really exciting, and then that wears off and reality sets in, like we just heard with Kelly.
First of all, they were amazing. What they said, they were so vulnerable and so accurate from what my experience has been. What I saw with the people, what I see with people when they move into housing, the first thing is they want to exhale. Father Strobel, who was our founding director, would say, give people space to just rest. When you come back from a vacation, you want to just rest. They have been on this lengthy journey and they deserve a place they can just call their own. The second thing that is for people is they need to set their own boundaries. Do they want to see me every day? Do they want to see me every Monday? Like, I shouldn't go knocking on the door all the time. And I really had to adjust my expectations. I offered in the beginning a lot of invitations to come out of the apartments and to join us, when in reality, they wanted to know what the options were, and they were going to show up when they wanted to show up. They're not in a program.
Yeah, and there's obviously more support in the permanent supportive housing. You have people that are following up with you on a daily or weekly basis to help you get the things that you need. But there also are people out there that say they want independent housing and they feel like they can live independently. If that's the journey that they want to take, then I am all for that. And to help them obtain that, just note that to live in this city, if you don't have substantial income, then you need some type of housing subsidy. That means there are different places in the city that they can be. There's different apartment complexes that take a Section 8 housing choice voucher. And so the first thing I would ask them is, what area of Nashville do you want to live in? You want to, and then they tell me, and then I make sure it's on a bus line so they have adequate transportation unless they have their own vehicle. And then we just go search.
So Kelly and Ashley, we talked a little bit about off mic where they are not getting housing subsidy right now. So their apartment is fair market value, and that's part of that financial strain he was explaining. Mm-hmm. Would you try to find them a place with a subsidy? Is that possible?
It's not available to them anymore because they're not experiencing literal homelessness as defined by HUD, which is living outside or in an emergency shelter or in a domestic violence situation shelter.
Mm. Does the stigma of homelessness go away once someone is in housing? And I kind of want to hear from both of you on that. I think it's amazing that it seemed like Kelly and Ashley feel like they have presented themselves in a way or lived a life that where they weren't getting that stigma necessarily as much. Do you see that stigma start to fade, or is it sticky?
I think it's a very long time before your neighbors see you for more than your circumstance. If you told me a college student's moving next door to me or someone who was coming off of the streets, I would want the college student. When the reality is the college student may also have an addiction. The college student may not be a great neighbor.
Domestic violence situations, yeah.
So you just, but we only see their circumstance and we create our own narrative.
Nathan, what do you think in the folks that you're friends with? What do you see that emotional process like as they try to shed maybe an identity of being unhoused?
It's such a long process. The longer you are outside, then the harder it is to transition. And so I always tell everyone on the first week or the day of moving in, it's very normal to feel depression whenever you move in because you're going from used to being in this environment of being unsafe and trying to survive every day to having the ability to lock the doors out, but also feeling sad that the people that you are on the streets with, like they helped you survive another night, but you can't allow those people into your home because you get evicted. So there could be there's some sadness that these people who, help me survive a night, I can't bring them in. I have to create a new community to help be better for my life.
Also, that emotional process of that exhale you were talking about, right. Rachel, that allows some rest, also allows a bunch of trauma to rise up.
Right. And trauma is not what happens to you. It's the brokenness that's left afterwards. And I think about an individual that we got into housing. He lived with his mother. Then he enlisted into the military. Then he was chronically homeless. Then he came to our VA program. Then he moved into housing. His breakdown moment were not the big things that we expected, all the overwhelming things like paying your rent and having to do your own laundry and all those bigger things. His breakdown moment was at the grocery store when he only wanted a head of lettuce and he had no idea there were so many options. And we had to go pick him up. He was just crying. And that was just the last straw. It was just all the stress just piling on him. And, the veteran said, if it's 40 miles into the woods, it's 40 miles out every single time. And I think we forget that. We believe that homelessness ends the day that they move into housing, but you still have to heal from the trauma of homelessness.
That's going to stick with me, the lettuce and the 40 miles in, 40 miles out. Next segment, we're going to hear from our friend Anita Smith. She talks to me about what she calls a homeless mentality that she's finding hard to shake, hoarding resources and things, and even sometimes sleeping outside even when she has a place. And Kelly just mentioned holding on to his campsite just in case. And I'm thinking this is more quote, normal than we might think, more common. And I've heard so many people continue to regularly visit their old communities, coming back even every day to a campsite near downtown, even though they may have an apartment in Antioch. Is there anything else you can say to help us understand that tie?
They're in the foxhole together.
Yeah.
And those are the people that looked out for them on their hardest days. And they were with each other sometimes, and they didn't have to say, what do you need? They understood, they anticipated. When we built our housing, we toured so many places, and we tried to design it like there's no doors on our cabinetry. And it looks very hip and modern. That is not the reason we did it. We did it because when we knock on the door asking if you want to come to something, I can see, do you have food? We made our sinks very shallow. Again, it looks very modern. It's because we didn't want you to have days and weeks worth of dishes. We tried it. We have signs on the back of every door. Did you remember your key? Did you turn off your stove? Because they start their stove, they go outside to smoke. It's not that they're trying to be irresponsible. That's just not been their experience in a long time, and they've forgotten.
Yeah. What percentage of folks do you think are able to remain in housing long term? And I think I've heard in recovery communities, you might take even 24 runs at sobriety before there's a long span. But are you seeing something similar with housing, that it takes many tries?
My personal goal is to house 503 people before I retire.
503.
503. I'm currently at 156. And so some statistics from the past 3 years, out of the 40 people that I've housed, 4 are not in housing anymore. So that's 10%.
Yeah.
Out of the 156 I have housed, 20 of them have passed away. And these are just the people that I can keep up with. It's impossible to try to keep up with 156 people. But out of that, 13% of the people that I've walked with and journeyed into housing that I know of are no longer here. And that's due to a variety of reasons.
Rachel, what do you think about?
Room in the Inn is unique. And we don't take government subsidy for the apartment rent, and which means since it's sliding scale of their income, it's a third of their income. When they lose their job, we can adjust that. We can get on and we can support them in helping them find a job, increase their income. So we're unique in that. But because of that nimbleness in relationship, we don't lose as many people. But let me say this: the majority of the people that I serve, if they were in housing out of their places, they have done something that would have ended in an eviction notice, and sometimes not even intentional. And so it allows us in relationship to come to the table and say, listen, that's not appropriate. That's not how we do things. We have to pay our rent before we do this, or we can't, we have to be good neighbors, and really relearning those skills. So our occupational therapist talks about food safety. We have a community dinner every Monday night because we have to practice community, practice being neighbors. We have hard conversations. Today I had a conversation with a guy who didn't want to let a facilities vendor in. We have to have that. That is what keeps our building afloat. You don't let facilities people in your other homes, they're going to ask you to leave.
Yeah. So before we go to one last break, what resources does Nashville need? What do we need to be investing in to help people remain in housing?
Love to continue to see wraparound support services for the people that the outreach workers and housing navigators. If we put someone in housing, then if there's not people to come behind it, professionals to come behind it to help them maintain that permanent stable housing, then all the work we did is for nothing.
So once again, wraparound services would be people who are gently or moderately pushing in on someone's life to help make sure they have what they need.
Absolutely. There's, Step Up on Second, there's Mending Hearts, there's the contributor CTI program, and we have a restoration program as well.
Rachel, what do you want to see in 10 more years? What do we got to do?
Well, first of all, we got to build more housing.
Amen.
That's the first thing. They need what we need. So they need safe streets. They need sidewalks. They need lighting. They need police presence. They need community centers. They need transportation. When you look at homelessness and it's so daunting, they need what we need. I think when we ask ourselves that question, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And
Thank you for having us.
Everything you're doing. You guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need to take one last break. And when we come back, from home to car to home to car to group home, and then to a tower, I head to a new apartment to hear how our good friend Anita Smith is settling in. This is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
In my place were lines I couldn't change, and I was lost.
I'm Tasha A.F. Lemley, and this is Nashville. This is episode 8 of season 2 of our special series, In My Place. Today we're talking about the difficulty of being in housing. It's easy for those of us who have never been homeless to celebrate someone getting housed, breathe a sigh of relief, and then stare in disbelief when things don't go smoothly. Anita Smith is one of the most resilient people I've ever known. She's a survivor of domestic violence, trafficking, homelessness, a heart attack, addiction, and mental illness. And she keeps going. She's just moved from a group home to her own apartment in a tower, and I sat down with her to try to recap her journey there.
Welcome!
You've worked on this.
I bust my ass, but I still got a lot to go, but still.
Wow.
It's going to have order in it. It will have order.
Okay, so I am sitting here with Anita, and we have known each other now 16 years.
Oh, my goodness. 16, Tosh?
16 years.
Wow.
And so I met you in 2009.
Exactly.
And where were you living in 2009? Now, I'm blanking.
When I met you, shortly after started selling the contributor, I was living at the Y domestic violence shelter.
So you were in a temporary situation.
Temporary situation.
Okay. And since then, we've talked about it in another piece, but we are more than friends. Like we're family.
We're family.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
it's easy to say that.
It's easy to say that.
Yeah.
Anita is a forever person to me. Yeah.
And you're the same to me.
When did you first start struggling with housing insecurity, like in your lifetime?
Oh, God. I was very young because my mom was divorced, so the 2 oldest kids stayed with their father. And my younger brother and I, we lived together with my mom in the housing project. At 13, I became a teenage runaway. I became promiscuous. Like 15, I got pregnant. Well, actually 14, I think it was. I got pregnant in 79. In 1979, I had a baby girl. And I was told that I could not bring that baby home.
Have you ever had stable housing?
It's always been up and down. There was periods of time that it might have lasted 5 years, but I would pick a person, or they would pick me, or because I didn't have a skill setting in what true love looked like, and I would get involved with guys that were violent and very controlling, and I would run. I would take my babies and run. I would go to shelter after shelter and break up a whole household because I'm fearful. If the guy went to work, I would try to get out of there before he got off from work.
Shortly after I knew you, or a few years after I knew you, your kids are grown, but you move into a home in the Nations.
In the Nations, yes.
And you were, at that time, also with a man who was abusive.
Very.
How did you get the home in the Nations, and how long were you there?
Okay, but prior to the home in the Nations, I lived at the apartment complex off of Tennessee Avenue. I was blessed by some of the people at Park Center, and they had some type of funding, a program, and I needed just a little help to get a deposit together. And I was eligible, and I stayed over there. And one day I started walking, and I would walk, and it was so much peace. And I saw this house for rent on Kentucky Avenue. And so I called about it. And it just so happened the domestic violence partner, he was following me. He wasn't walking with me, but he was following me. And he hollered out something to the fact, "We're going to get that house." And I probably cursed him at the time. But anyway, long story.
But you did.
Yeah, but I got that house.
How long were you there?
I might have been there about 3 years or 4. And the only reason I left there is because everything was being sold in that area. And my landlord, I had an awesome landlord, very good to me, and I was a good tenant. And he decided to sell because he was up in the age.
So the neighborhood has been gentrified.
Yes, it was.
And but you don't hold it against him. You understood.
no.
He was
Oh, no.
You might have made the same decision.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With a good dollar
Well, he
amount.
actually found me another place that he or some family member owned, but it was way out in Antioch.
So that was the Antioch place. So you were there a short amount of time, and then
I got rid of that guy, but then called myself dating again, and this is with, I will not name, but you know him very well.
I do.
And I began to help raise a little boy that needed my help from a single.
That's right. So
single
you
parent.
stayed with them for a while too.
Yeah, and then I got on a lease.
Yeah.
And this was a housing that was drug-free, supposedly drug-free.
Like sober housing, yeah.
Sober housing. And I learned a lot from that. But when that relationship just did not work, I was so distraught and so just out of control in my thoughts and my life and everything. So I would sleep in my car, my vehicle at the time.
That's right.
I had started driving for Lyft, and that my car became my everything. I mean, to the point where I would eat in there, I would sleep in there, I would change shirts. I go to
You're making the living out of
making
your
a
car?
living out of my vehicle because I was so distraught. I could not believe this relationship was not going to work again. And then my friends in a nearby city from Pulaski said, "You come on down here. You can get a better living." I went there to Pulaski, and immediately I found a place.
And you had real hopes of being a homeowner.
Yes, I was up until the time that I left over a year ago. I was 7 years into, almost 8 years into a 15-year buy,
Rent to own.
rent to own.
And you've got some friends around in Pulaski, but your work is based back in Nashville. And that's one of the things that was so hard. You tried getting different sources of income closer to home, and that never seemed to work. And at the same time, because of the agreement with the rent to own, you were responsible for repairs, and you couldn't do that.
Most definitely. It was very difficult. It worked on my psyche so much, and the psychological weight of it was more than I could bear. Because I was not thinking rational. Now I got a house, and I'm still living like a homeless person.
How so?
Because a few years back, we had a big rainstorm, and I think it was in the March, spring or something. And that wind and that rain for days and days tore the roof partly off of this old siding house. And prior to that, I didn't have a lot of major issues. In fact, I really bought the house up to a beautiful state.
You were planting a garden. You made a fence.
I put my own chain link fence there at the point where I was gardening, sharing vegetables, and I was excited about being a homeowner.
But this storm comes, and so now you've got leaks
I
that
got
you
leaks.
can't afford to repair, but you also mentally just can't face it.
I can't face it. I nearly died in 2021 with COVID. I ended
You were
up,
hospitalized for 3 weeks,
yeah,
where
almost
no one could come see you.
no one could come see me. I had double pneumonia in both lungs. I had blood clots in both lungs. One of the doctors said, "You're a very sick woman. Who's the next of kin?" And I couldn't even relate to that in my mind because my thinking was gone.
Like, what's he mean?
What does he mean? That physician did pray for me, and they administered a lot of different type of drugs, and over a period of weeks, I got better. But
So, another thing that played a role in the house in Pulaski was your tendency toward hoarding, to building some safety around you because of everything you've been through, not wanting to let anything go.
not letting
So-
anything go.
So this house has leaks and then rats and too many things, and then you get sick and it's hard to navigate your struggles with addiction, struggles with mental health. And I mean, like, from my experience of you, you're saying, as much as I love this house, as much as I hope that someday I'm a homeowner, this is not going to be it. And you had to walk away.
Oh, yeah. When I'm looking back now in retrospect, I'm wondering why not sooner.
But at some point, you're sleeping in the car outside your own house.
Outside my
Yeah.
home. That, I don't know if you ever get away from that. I don't know if tomorrow I won the lottery and I could live in such a fair estate, some fancy place. Would that mentality of homelessness leave me? I don't know that. Because even though I got a home, I got a new place today, I'm fighting. I'm really fighting to make sure that I'm not hoarding again, to comply, to do everything I need to do to live a decent life.
So a few months ago, and then we'll get to where we're sitting right now. A few months ago, you were able to get in a shared living space. I believe it's a 7 rooms in a home in North Nashville. And that was your step back into Nashville, where your income is, where your friends and family are, where we've wanted you back for 8 years.
So true.
So that was a step back in. But when did you realize you needed to leave that situation? And how did you get where we're sitting here today?
Well, determination, prayer, lots of prayer, and just taking the baby steps. But I realized that now that I'm back in Nashville, and I'm excited about being with my friends and my family, but I'm like in stagnating water. I can't move. And the thing is, when I do move, my mental health is being compromised. My addiction is rising.
And people around you were using
People
daily.
around me, drugs were everywhere. People around me, I was being put in a situation where I'm gonna fall, and I'm gonna fall hard. And I'm just like, God, I did not come back to Nashville to fall like this. This is not how my story ends. My story cannot end this way. And so I started seeking out different places, but I'm going through some legal issues that now I can't even apply for housing, really, because I'm on a very serious situation.
Yeah, and we're not going to go into that today, but this is, Anita, you've not had a history of incarceration.
No.
Many people have. You've not had a history of getting arrested. How old are you now?
61.
61, and this is the first time in your life you have run into some legal trouble down in Pulaski that is a, I don't want to put a judgment on it, but a shadow over your life. It is something.
It is.
It is like a ball and chain everywhere you go right now. And just so it's not too vague, these charges are related to your mental health and addiction. And realize you need to find another place to live. The place you were in, just so people can picture it, 7 rooms. So Anita had her own bedroom and bathroom, which was great. Everything else is shared. So shared kitchen, shared refrigerator, everyone having different needs, everyone having different challenges, substance use disorder or mental health issues, challenges. And so I think a lot of times it sounded to me like you either felt like you couldn't even open your bedroom door. You'd just be in there. You had a microwave, so you could kind of feed yourself in there. But it was not a place where you could bloom and branch out and grow. So I think this is my experience of you over 16 years, is that you'll know you need to make a change. And then it seems like when you put your mind to it, something happens so fast, it's head spinning. And this is one of those. So all of a sudden I hear you're in, you've got a place. This is a tower. You're still in Nashville area, and on the bus line, close to things you need and people you need and who need you. And yeah, so you have been in here how long now?
Maybe a month, right at a month.
You were figuring out these moves on your own.
Yeah, I was day by day, chapter by chapter, and still dealing with onset of addiction. When it got to be extremely difficult, you go back to what you're familiar with and let me relax. In my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to relax. I'm going to have some wine. But then 1 cup of wine becomes 5 cups. And you want the biggest box of wine. And you know, and I'm just using that as an illustration, but I just have to be so raw with my struggle.
Do you have anything like a case manager or a housing stability worker, someone that checks in with you and sees what you need?
You know what? The overload in the system is so big that you got 5 mouths to feed. Who's the one that's the hungriest? And I look at it like that. And independently, to look at me, you wouldn't think nothing's wrong with me.
Right.
There's not a big old banner across my chest saying, hey, watch out for me.
Right.
You know? And so the case managers are there, but in the system, mental health co-op is one of them. Everybody gets rotated.
So you're losing your core person frequently.
Yeah, all the time. And now I'm distraught because I got to set my mindset up to even want to open up and talk to anybody else about what's going on with Anita.
A new person.
A new person. Terrifying.
What do you think you need to help make this place work for you?
I need stability, and I need to be accountable. I'm recovering. I'm cooking for myself. I'm still active in the community. I'm still doing things. I still got goals, and I still see myself in another place. I want to get involved in the community here. It's cluster living at its worst and its finest. And
what's cluster living?
That's everybody on top of each other. To me, that's just like I mean, I can say some more things, but the thing is, with all the struggles that I've had in my life, my whole life, if it was to cut off right now, I've dealt with domestic violence, I've dealt with homelessness, and I surely have dealt with medical and mental illness. And this is a cluster of all of that. And addictions all over the place. And I'm right where I need to be for this time period.
Thank you, Anita. I love you.
I love you more. Thank you so much.
I want to thank our other guests, Ashley Reed, Kelly Palmer, Rachel Hester, and Nathan Scarlett. And thank you for listening. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. This housing series, In My Place, was created thanks in part to support from the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. Next month, we're talking about the scaffolding and systems we need to help folks stay in housing. Our cover of In My Place by Coldplay is courtesy of Vein Melter. Today's episode was produced and directed by Judith Tackett. Our board operator is Liv Lombardi. Listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get your podcasts. And the conversation doesn't have to end here. You can leave me a message at 615-751-2500. Seriously, is this series resonating with you? Do you have a story to share? What's up? I'm Tasha A.F. Lemley, and this is Nashville. We love you. Keep going, you guys.